Hi FlossTube, it's Carrie with FlossBossStitches. It's Monday, September 26th, and I have an update for you. I did get a lot of stitching done this week. Not everything that was according to plan from my last video, but pretty close, not bad. And I have goals for next time. So there you go. I want to start off by showing you a little bit of old stash. I still haven't made it through all of that. I showed a lot in my first video and then a little bit here and there, so I'll show you a little bit more today. Christmas is coming and it's very fun to stitch fast finished products. So I got this 101 Christmas minis at Hobby Lobby last year when I was in Chattanooga up in Tennessee, because I don't have a Hobby Lobby here in Florida. But these are fun. I already have my mason jar lids that I've been showing, and I finished a lot of those, like, to my satisfaction. But this has a lot of designs. A lot of these I wouldn't really go for, but at $6.50 and 101, surely something will pique my interest. So last year when I was in Chattanooga, I did go ahead and do this. It's a little cactus decorated up for Christmas. It has the strand of Christmas lights on it, and it was fun. And look how much Aida I left all the way around. Plenty for finishing this little guy. So that won't be too hard to do. I'll be able to finish that and call it ready for this shirt, definitely. Okay. So also, I showed this Stoney Creek book already before. It's the Santa's Truckin' Team. So I'm gonna go ahead and definitely start one this week. I think I'm going to start Santa in the truck. So it's this same image, but with no trailer. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start that this week. Santa with a couple of elves and looks like mice helping him out. Yeah, mouse is up front. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start that this week. Probably just gonna start it on Aida. I have some 16 count Charles Craft, which I got in the gifted stash from my mom's neighbor, which had the select irregulars in it, but this is a normal tube of 16 count. I think I have a few like antique and sand, so I'll just do it on one of those. I've tried even weave on my Mega, and so far it's not right for me, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I'm gonna start Santa off of my old stash book, which I've never stitched anything from this book, so I really need to start that. And I did show this in my last video. It's the start of a haunted house, also from Stoney Creek. Let me find a good image of it. It's this one here. And I've got this tree and some of the fence going. And when I tried to, at the time that I stitched it a couple years ago, I was trying to think of like what I would want to jump to next, because I like it when a piece starts to actually look like something. But there were a lot of, like, the blocks of color are not that big. So even though this is obviously not confetti, it does change color a lot, which is not exactly my cup of tea, but I really like the image and I can change the color. So I intended to work on this during this week a little bit, but I was on other projects, so I didn't get to it. But this week I'm definitely going to add to that. Okay. So those, sorry about that. I consider those starts because I haven't worked on them since I've been doing FlossTube or for years or ever. So we'll consider those starts. The Santa's truck and the haunted house I'm going to start working on as of now. And that brings us to what I've been working on since last week and even before. I had a finish. My Februari stamp from Lizzie Kate with the little buttons. You know, I've talked a few times about how this design, because I had this whole set done when I bought it years ago, except this one. but I was missing a color, so I didn't like substituting. I was like, I didn't have that many flosses. Now I have 3 plastic bins of floss since then, but at the time I sort of bought up floss for this project, and they didn't have the anchor. The LNS only had anchor, and they didn't have the color that was supposed to be there. So I was like, oh, I'll just go to Joann's or Michael's and grab a DMC, but it didn't happen. So that was one reason, because I didn't want to substitute. Like, I really wanted it to just look like the picture. If I wanted to make it up myself, I wouldn't have had a chart. So I wasn't comfortable at that time doing that. And then another thing is the imagery, which I have my whole bag of finished stamps here. I really like, for this, a more fun approach, which a heart with flowers, my husband said that is fun. But I would have expected February to have like Valentine cards and a little Valentine mailbox. My neighbor back home in Tennessee that did give me all that stash had a few Lizzie Kates of months, and her February was more like what I'm describing, but they were oblong instead of square. Is oblong correct? I mean, they were rectangular, so they were longer, and I liked that more, but I like that this is a set, and I do like a lot of the images. So we will flip through them quickly. There's January, which I would expect a snowman for January. That makes sense. These are all just on 14 count white Aida, which is something you never see Lizzie Kate modeled on. I must say, I like Aida. It just, to me, it feels like cross stitching, but I might get out of that a little bit because it's not really always the nicest. Just depends on the project, I guess, and the person. So March is cute. Like, this is playful, you know? I mean, this to me says March like I would have wanted it to. April is pretty good. Has a little Easter basket with some eggs in it, so that's pretty good. That's funny that this flips everything. The camera flips it backwards, but I know everybody has that going on. So you can learn to read backwards. May, that's very cute for May. Springy feel. I like the birdhouse. The birds are sweet. June is pretty good too. I don't know, maybe probably like a beachy pool, you know, buckets, beach balls, but this is kind of a country set, so this is cute. The hive is very cute. July, picnic. I probably would have gone with 4th of July, like holiday-ish, but some ants getting on the watermelon. Okay, August. Here's an example of where I didn't do a good job with the fabric. I mean, look at this, but it does fit in the frame that I use, and it hides all that just fine. So it's still fun for me. Some sunflowers. I don't know if that really, like, if I see sunflowers, I say August, but I like it. September is on the wall, and I don't want to take that frame down again. I've shown it a couple times. October is cute. I probably would expect something Halloween-y, but I mean, this is definitely fall, and it's a really cute image, so it worked for me. November is just right. Just right. Oops. A little thread was on there. Little turkey with his pilgrim hat, just perfect for me. And December, I would have expected something more Christmassy. I mean, I see a tree, but it really could be an evergreen. So this could have easily been January for me. I mean, the tree in the middle of the mitten, kind of, but come on. Where's Santa Claus? Where are the elves? Okay, enough complaining about something that I actually love. So I'm done with all of them now. And now they get to go back into the Ziploc that they live in. I only started framing these, I don't even think it's been a whole year. So for about 5 years, they've been in that bag, except February. And those all came from Lizzie Kate Little Flippets month stamps. And they are from 2004. Somebody asked me about that on a video before. I'm sure that you could find them online. And I'm thinking about doing them on stash unload, but I don't know, I might not, because I don't have that big of a hoard, I mean stash. So I might just want to save them. I'm not sure. Obviously, I probably wouldn't stitch them again. Why? But they're neat little charts and they're small, so they're not overwhelming to keep. But I might put them on unload because someone might really want them. Like, I really want some that I saw about the rules of October or the rules for Halloween, which this is a Halloween Lizzie Kate that I've also shown. And I just got, I think, 2 books because they came 2 at a time. And I'm not sure she had the whole thing at the LNS. It was really long, as I'm sure you all are mostly familiar with. But I saw in Stash Unload several that had, you know, 2 rules, like eat candy, scare a crow, stay up late, and it was super cute, but I'm trying to be good. And I was thinking to myself, if I bought that, which it was a really good price, if I bought that, how many needle minders could I get for that? So, I don't know. Okay. So, finished February. Good to go. For the Imagination Sal, World of Imagination on Stitch Mania, I chose to do Fly With Me, the Peter Pan Disney Classic Collection by Leisure Arts. And I already had started it last week. I had his hat, no feather, no hair, just the hat and a little bit of the shoulder. So here starts my story of frogging. Somehow, even though this design has like 12 total colors, if that, seriously, it may be less than 12. Somehow, I ended up doing his little shirt in Tinkerbell's outfit's color. So I had to frog all of this and then put this in. So I've got his hat and part of his, actually his entire tunic. He needs his belt and his sword, and a leg. So, I said I like big blocks of same color. It is kind of boring to stitch, but I do love it. I love it. And I have my little needle minder here. It's a Julie. It's green. There you go. It's green and it's nice and sparkly. That's from No Name Needle Minders on Facebook. And I also worked on my Woody ears. Last video I had finished Buzz. And I started Woody. This was nice to, you know, it was pretty simple to do while I was being very distracted otherwise. So it's not hard to find your place in the chart because it's so small and it's big chunks. I mean, it's pretty easy to put down and pick up, put down and pick up, put down and pick up. Where some of the more scattered charts with more complicated pieces, it's hard to do that. I saw on Stitch Mania this week that someone said, do you backstitch when you're finished? Do you backstitch as you go? And on some of these larger pieces, people were talking about as they finished a section or a page, maybe they would backstitch. I'm naughty and I backstitch as I go, even though I was taught to do it at the end, because it makes it look more like what it's supposed to look like. So I got impatient and I backstitched these stripes onto Woody's shirt, and I was happy I did because it looked fun. I still have to fill in his vest with white and finish crossing these cow spots. And there are a few red lines, stripes for his shirt here. And then ears. One has his star in it and one has Andy written on it, which at the time that Andy got Buzz, he was a big boy, so he stopped writing some of his letters backwards. But on Woody's foot, he was a little boy, and he has a backwards N on there, and it looks more wacky. So I think that's cute to see how he grew up and started writing his name a little bit better. So that's this piece that I'm working on. These are from my shop on Etsy, FlossBossStitches. This is my Peter Pan domino tile needle minder, and that's also from No Name Needle Minders. Okay, I guess we can talk about this now. My Mega. It got frogged. Last week I said I was going to stick with it through a page just to be sure, but somebody else that I've seen on Instagram and probably is a member of Stitch Mania was working on this, and I said last time that I saw all of Maleficent, but I don't know like what the fabric is and how she's stitching it. So to me, I've seen other pieces by the same Etsy seller of Disney stuff, and it's just not clear enough for me to want to stitch for 2 years, like stitching pretty diligently on it, because it's 25 pages, this design. And I mean, I'm not really happy that I bought this. I think knowing what I know about the software, because I use it myself for my shop, all this person did, this shop, was take an image from DeviantArt, which is where all of these stained glasses come from, because I've seen them right on there, and I've seen them made into phone cases and everything else. So this is not an original piece. Okay, fine, that's fine, because I know that's common and we want these types of images. But all they did was drag it and drop it, and that's why it's a Mega. I feel like it's different than the Heaven and Earth, because I feel like they're more meaningful. They cite their artist. This didn't say original art by blank. It just said, here, have this pattern. 25 pages. They didn't do anything to make this good for cross-stitching that I can see. They just plugged it in, and the system wanted max colors so that it could get as close to what they dropped this image as it could, and they were like, okay, click, 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 sell. Luckily, it was very inexpensive, I will say that. But it doesn't, so even though it's an image by someone else, fine. I mean, I want it, so fine, that's fine. And even though it was just dropped in, I just wish that it would be more clear. Like, it's not, to me, I don't think there's any back stitching. And it's just like not meaningful confetti, in my opinion. It does not read clear on when you see it stitched. It's like a great idea that I would love to have that doesn't come true. So that brings me to my next piece. I'm not going to stitch that right now. That's like on total hold, possibly garbage. This Rapunzel. Let me see if I can get her to show right. Okay, this Rapunzel I found on Pinterest, and I said it was probably bootleg, and that the maker of it, it's a foreign blog that I am not familiar with, but I think it's in Spanish possibly, and it's Aromas78, and it was like, oh, it's clearly a bootleg from this other Etsy shop where I got this. But I now want to take that back, because they're both bootleg, taken from images off of DeviantArt, not cited whatsoever. So really, what makes the Etsy shop more legit? Nothing. And I like this pattern, and to tell you the truth, this is more changed. The Etsy shop just drags and drops. This has been changed. The black was taken out and it was turned to back stitching. And the flowers were changed. This is different. This archway is different. So this blogger that I find on Pinterest with a lot of these images, I mean, she has an Alice in Wonderland. She has Marie from Aristocrats, Cats. She has several, a Snow White, and she actually did change them. So to me, and she made the hair like solid blocks of color, like this panel would be all one color. Whereas on the Rapunzel that I bought that was from this shop, it's just, that one block of hair might be 8 colors, because it's whatever the computer spit out is what I bought. So I don't feel bad about using the Pinterest. I will be stitching this Pinterest version of Rapunzel, and I've already pinned all the other ones that she has that are in that style with the different characters, and I will be stitching them. If I should feel anything about getting them free, it would be that I should be looking for the DeviantArt artist and making a donation to them, because it's their original design. And let's be real, it's all licensed by Disney, and nobody probably is following those legal rules, because there's way too much stuff out there that I'm not sure that saying inspired by, which is even what I do, is really cutting it. I'm kind of thinking it's not, as far as following the rules. But here's Rapunzel. Last time I showed her to you, she did not have all of her blue around. She had it at the bottom and up the sides, and at the top it was not fully done. And I finished that. I don't really want to take it out of here though, because there's nothing up there that is really important. And I had like just a little bit of the purple and pink border, and I've got all of it in now. And I've even started the yellow and green, and then down here, these are like the center of some flowers, and this is starting the corner panel. So I actually did a lot on here. And this is part of my haul, my Zoom Zoom needle minder. And this is from Needle Attractions on Etsy. And I'm really, really pleased with it. It's the exact same. I mean, so many of the shops have the same stuff because it's what we want and it's what's available. You know, they order these from wherever and throw some magnets on. Well, her glue is different than the glue that I've seen on the other needle minders I've ordered. This seems to be hot glue, I would say. So I don't know if it won't hold as well or something, but it has so far. And I am playing with these things like crazy. Same magnets that I've seen on my other needle minders. And she throws a button on the back magnet that says made with love. And here's one where she just put a little plastic button. So the glue is a little bit more messy, I would say, although it's not like I've really shopped from a ton of shops. But the glue is a little messy, but it doesn't affect anything. It just sticks out a little bit, you know, from the magnet, but it looks fine from the front. The magnets don't seem to be wanting to come off. If they pop off, I'll let you know. But got this one. The exact same bobbin that I see on every site. The exact same Queen of Hearts that I have seen on every site. Heavy, nice, great magnets, cute little card. Yeah, and that's Needle Attractions. And also this little puppy, which is why I want to start one of those Christmas Santa's trucking teams. Is that bad when you want to start a piece just so that you can use a certain needle minder? And I have one more that I'll show, but it's on a piece that I'm about to show. So about the Needle Attractions, if you're not already super loyal, or if you're just not finding what you're looking for, these needle minders, the Queen of Hearts, $6. I've seen the exact same pieces for $10, exact. So $6, that's a lot less. That's, you know, you buy a couple and then all of a sudden you can get one free at that rate, compared to some of those other more expensive shops. So unless this glue turns out to be a problem, which I mean, it had a lot of positive reviews, like all the reviews were great and there were hundreds, and lots of sales, so that we know that people have had time to see. But the only possible thing that could be said is that the glue is slightly, possibly like a little bit messy. It was very fast shipping. Like they were ready to ship in like 2 days. So that was nice. I ordered some on Facebook already, and I haven't even gotten an invoice, unless I'm confused about it. But I mean, they both asked me for my PayPal information. So, and maybe they're busy, I understand that. But all I'm saying is Needle Attractions, if you're not familiar with their Etsy shop, you might want to go check it out. They are inexpensive and they seem just as good to me, as long as that glue doesn't end up dropping the magnets, which I've played with them endlessly, so I doubt that it will. Okay, I haven't gotten onto my seasonal chairs by Janlin, and in like a week and a half I hadn't stitched on it, so I didn't even show it last week. But here she is. I added more clouds over here. I finished all the clouds over here, so there will be more here, and 2 birds or 3. And I put in all this sand. So still, I mean, it was a lot, but maybe not as much as I would have hoped. I was really working on Peter Pan though. I loved him, and all that frogging that was going on. This little not Nemo, Dory, is also from Needle Attractions, and she was my freebie. And I'm actually really glad that I got this because I've been wondering about these plastic images. Because I saw Pete the Dragon's Elliot, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw Elliot the Dragon from Pete's Dragon, the old one. And he was all jeweled up like this. Okay, my baby's, I'm looking on the monitor, sorry. He was all jeweled up like this, but I think $12, maybe 10. But, and I definitely put him in my shopping cart, but then I found this shop who didn't have Pete, but had this as Pete the Dragon. And I think it was like $3.50. But I wasn't sure what this plastic stuff was like and if I would like it. But I'm glad I got this because it's fine. It's great. It's hard to kind of tell what it is if you've never seen one in person and you're like, that's plastic, it's flat, I don't understand like what it feels like. So I was glad to get this as a freebie from Needle Attractions on Etsy and see what the material is like. I like it. And they're $3.50, so I mean, you know, there's my sand. Baby's being patient, but we'll see for how long, so I might speed up a little. Here is my Rascal. I finished crossing a little bit more. I basically haven't done anything on Rascal. And I last week said how I would have a few of his friends. I am so full of it with these Advent animals, but I really want to do them in time for Christmas this year. And they stitch up pretty fast. I've barely worked on him. One thing with that is I really wanted to bling them up, and I said I needed to go online to order more acrylic. So now I have so many colors that I'll be able to do even, like I could put orange and bronze in with brown and gold. It just depends on the shade of brown. And I have so many. I got these from 123stitch.com. And they were fast. I've been reading some things on Stitch Mania that they're having some problems like with their fabric department and whatever. And you know, I heard maybe some growing pains and stuff, but this was super fast. So I guess whatever they still have that's like in a bucket to grab is still going well because I got this pretty fast. But I did order it like later than I probably should have if I was thinking that I was going to stitch several of them this week and bling them up and have them ready for today. So I did get this like on Thursday or Friday, but I didn't get into those animals. So just 1 second, please. Okay, this little buddy was finished with his nap and he wanted to come out. So we'll just wrap it up with Brewer joining us. Oh, one other thing I know I didn't say was that needle minder is my domino of Elsa as a pinup girl, and that was from No Name Needle Minders. So mommy's gonna try to stitch a lot this week, but we'll see if I am able to get everything done that I want to. I guess that's it. Allison's been stitching away, and I really think it's because she wants to come back on and show you so she knows she needs progress. So have a good week. Visit me on my Etsy shop. It's FlossBossStitches. Have a good one.